Hey YouTube, well it's another rainy day. Somebody's going shopping, but I have work to do, so I can't go. Thank God. So I'm going to cut these in half now and put a point on them. I'm going to try the miter saw since it's a slow day. Won't hurt me to fool around with these. So I come up with a faster way of doing it, although I don't do a lot of this. Bye. Have a good one. Save some money. You know, I actually have my freaking fall jacket on. It's unbelievable. I think it's like 48 this morning. Okay guys, so there's 200 grade steaks there. I want to make a little thing here. Just hold on a second. I want to grab a hold of another steak. Okay, I had made a video about this once before. This is a 2x2. It's a full-size 2x2. It's about a foot long, 10 inches long, and that's known as a hub to a surveyor, or to a construction surveyor, I ought to say. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll drive that in the ground, and then you'll put a pin, a survey point, which is like an indented nail, into the top of it wherever it's supposed to be. And when you're doing some very delicate and tedious work, you want the point to be at an exact spot. So you need a sort of a big area as a target. So a 2x2 works nice for that. Okay. Then these stakes are known as grade stakes. Now there's a difference between a grade stake and a flag. A flag is a 1/2 inch thick stake that's about 2 inches wide. It can be 1 3/4, 1 1/2, whatever, depending upon where you buy them. Now, I used to, sometimes when we were traveling, different cities or whatever to work, you'd go somewhere and buy grade stakes, and they'd end up being a 1x1 and not made out of white oak, and they were practically useless because as soon as you hit them with something or pulled on them, they would snap. Now, the purpose of a grade stake, or the purpose of a flag, that would be the 1/2 inch type, is to put when you have a hub driven into the ground. Okay, so you have a hub driven in the ground. The flag is the thinner grade stake that a surveyor would take, like say a chisel point or whatever, drive a hole in the ground, and then take the flag and drive that in next to this. That's to give this point a name. So because you drive these into the ground, you can't really write too well on them, all right, because they're so low. So the flag would have the ribbon on it, and it would also have the name or the number of the point, like the station number, 1+00, 1+10, 1+50, or whatever it might be. So it would have the grade, the station number written on the flag, which is the thinner one of these, okay, the thinner ones. And then it would also maybe have a cut or a fill on it. Now the problem with using a thin flag, and not everybody seems to know the difference, especially when you go to buy them. The flag, it doesn't matter if it flops in the breeze, okay, because you're not really putting tension on it. But these grade stakes are a little bit different. A grade stake should be heavy enough that when you drive it into the ground, you can tie a string on it and pull it to the next grade stake. So what I used to do when I was, besides building houses, I would do all the surveying, the construction surveying from 2 points, 2 corners or whatever, run the survey through the property, and I would put points and grade stakes in for myself. Now, I would put grade stakes so that a bulldozer operator, before they had GPS, would use these stakes as an alignment tool and he would be able to read off of it a cut mark. If you put real small thin lath in there, the lath doesn't hold up when you pull strings from one to the other in order to check grade. Now this is the old way of doing things. They have GPS now. However, GPS costs you about 20 grand to get yourself set up, if not more, maybe 100 grand, depending upon the type of system you have. And plus, if you put it on your machines, you spent a lot of money. You can use grade stakes to do the same things. That's how they built all the roads that we have now already, 99% of them. All the bridges and everything else were used by driving hubs in and you're working off of a grade stake. So I had gotten a comment about, did the surveyor that came to me want a full inch by 2 inches? And he did, because he was sick and tired of what he was doing was he was doing construction surveying. It's one thing if you're putting 4 flags on a piece of property, or 6 or 8 flags, whatever it is, to do the corners. It's another thing to drive these in for somebody who's going to work around them. So that's pretty much the difference. One is a flag that would hold the station number. Now you can use these as flags, so don't get that wrong. And it's nice to have these. When a surveyor uses these as a flag, what that does for me, especially if I was putting sewer lines in the old way before they had a lasers for sanitary sewer, what you would do is put these on pins or drive 2 of these in and put one across the 2, and you could set that over a hub and it would give you the elevation that you needed to be able to check your pipeline. You can still do that in a lot of ways. I still use that. In fact, when Carmine and I were digging a ditch last year for my neighbor's water to get away from the house for the rainwater, we use what's known as double sidelines to be able to check our grade without using any real instruments, and it's very accurate. So anyway, just thought I'd make that. These are 3 products: the hub, the grade stake, and the flag, that you could use, if you're doing mill work, as products to sell to make some extra money for yourself. So this is the order that guy went. You can see by the size of this how big that log actually was, sort of. They're not tight together yet. I got to bind them, but I'm just saying. So anyway, thought I'd let you know that. Have a good one, guys. Oh, and if you're wondering how I cut them, all I did was I cut them to length with the miter saw. Let me see if I can back up with this thing. I'm already backed up. Okay, I cut them to length, and then I put a line. I put a line on here. You can't see the line because the stakes were wet, and they kind of wore the line off. So I had put a piece of aluminum there, but all I did was go against it with 3 stakes at a time, and I could cut 3 points, turn it over, 3 points. Now I cut these at 20 degrees. You can cut them at a harder angle than that if you want, but 20 is what I think holds better. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, but I'm just saying. Have a good one, guys. Well, I got a whole bucket of white oak cookies, so I'm going to use these to start fires. I'll put them in my over by my stove.